So I'm just out here pretty much getting ready to clear a couple rows. Well, I am kind of after, there's a lot of this rhizomial grass and the prostrate spurge. So I've kind of just been piling it all up back there. I'm gonna show you guys what it is that I'm doing with that, why it's not that big of a deal nowadays, especially when I come across weeds, and pretty much how I'm gonna get all that nutrients back into my soil. All right, y'all, so all this stuff that I'm pulling out of my garden right now, I consider this all nutrients, man. Because what's happened is this spurge, for the most part, has taken the nutrients that I wanted this lettuce to grow and has taken it for itself. Now the spurge has been here for a while. It just so happens to like what it is that I got going on, so that's why it's here, as well as a lot of the rhizomial grass. This is a nut grass. All this, y'all, is now nutrients. I would just go ahead and do what they would call like a chop and drop. When it comes to especially like the rhizomial grasses, I don't really like messing with them, man. These things are extremely strong in terms of their ability to survive. In fact, a lot of your perennial weeds are. They have the ability to survive. The key tip is with a lot of your weeds that are not rhizome is to actually get them before they go to flower. Get them before they go to flower, chances are they won't be able to come back. But like I was getting at before, y'all, it's not a bad thing necessarily that they're here while they're here, because like much things in the garden, it's not necessarily that they're stealing it from you. I guess in a way you can look at it like that, but you can also look at it like they're little banks of nutrients. And now it's time to cash in. I'm gonna show y'all one of my favorite ways, the most easiest way to compost and get some of this nutrients back into soil. So as you can see, the majority of this stuff is really nice and green and luscious, right? That's what I'm going after. I am, however, collecting a lot of my old dying squash and other things I had growing for the summer, because as you can see, they're in really bad shape. There's a lot of green stuff in it, and that's why I'm using this here. The one thing that you want to keep in mind is that when it comes to gardening, y'all, it's much like life, dude. Whatever it is that you put into it is what you're going to get out. So if the majority of your stuff is going to be bad, not good health, yeah, you can't really expect that much out of your compost. It will and it should attract you know, some kind of microbial life, only to be housing, you know, back in this carbon and then helping it break down. So I guess there might be something that goes on there, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of the good stuff, dude, that they're going to be, you know, that bacteria is going to be eating and pooping and just living and doing its thing is going to be off of that kind of stuff. So that's what you're mainly looking for. This type business right here, you know what I mean? The majority rich nutrients is gone, you know what I'm saying? That's why it looks like that. Nutrients is up in the ether, dog. Which is dope within itself. So the anaerobic composting, what you're actually doing is creating more nutrients as well as more life in here. To me, if I want to reintroduce it back into my garden or introduce it into my garden, I want it to be, for the most part, just nutrient rich, right? That just kind of comes along with your steady regimen of composting and the way you're fertilizing your garden. So that's what makes the anaerobic composting really appeal to me, because it's fast. Two, I could see a result relatively quick within my plants after I've applied it. I don't really have to worry about the plurativity over the relativity. I could just put a bunch of weeds in a bucket, allow them to break down, get anaerobic, and then reapply, for the most part, a lot of my nutrients back onto my beds. Like, look at that, dog. This is what I normally try to keep in the soil. There's a part of me that actually wants to dig a hole and drop this back in the soil just to let it decay and allow all those good nodules to kind of just break up and go back into the soil. However, what I think I am gonna do is gonna go and throw this into the tea as well. I have several in this soil. That's pretty cool. I cut down some of the lamb's quarter up front. I went ahead and threw some of that in there. We've been eating a lot of it, but it does make for a really good compost tea. I threw some purslane in here, as well as some more prostrate spurge, and then a lot more of the rhizomial grasses. I'm not really concerned with the type of water I use at the very beginning of this process. I know there's a lot of people that will tell you just use distilled water, or some water that's been off-gassed. It's gonna off-gas anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw some water in here. I could use some of my secondhand water, although I'm running short on that. So in fact, y'all, if you're nervous about it, you can go ahead and just let these sit here for 24 hours and I'll just allow them to off gas like they would do naturally anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and showing you guys exactly how much you need to dilute this and start applying it to. Tonight, I think I'm gonna do mostly my tomatoes. I just had to wait a little bit later in the afternoon because I didn't want to do this in the heat of our day. So wait until now and we're gonna go ahead and break this thing down and show you guys what's up. Dang, look at it, y'all, there it is. The funk. You can see it just growing all kind of different stuff on there. So good enough stir stick it in. A lot of this stuff is broke down. I'm not gonna say most of it, but a lot of stuff is already broken down. Ooh, that smells right, y'all. It's actually smelling more like a lake now. All of this stuff that we have left over is that rhizomial grass. Keep in mind, y'all, the longer you keep this around, the better it's gonna get. I just allowed, for the most part, all the spurge to break down, as well as all the comfrey. And then what I'm going to end up doing is leaving all this stuff right here. I'm going to leave that to keep on breaking down. First things first, pour right about 2 gallons inside of my little 2-gallon bucket here. All right, so now we're going to take that and we're going to break it down. I'm using my second use water. If all you have is tap water, go ahead and put out what I have, some 5-gallon buckets, and let them sit overnight. You gotta let them off gas enough to where you can do this. Basically what I'm doing is adding microbial life to my plants. I want to make sure that they actually have best chance of survival. By mixing them in with chlorine, more than likely you're going to end up killing a lot of them. So as long as you let it off gas or use like distilled water, you pretty much have a good chance that your microbial life will do what you need them to do. Ratio you're looking for in this is going to be 10 to 1. So I need 20 gallons of water for the 2 gallons of funk that I'm dropping in. Yeah, a little bit goes a long way here, y'all. Like anything, y'all, if you're wary of this, test a few plants out at a time over the course of a couple days. If they are satisfactory results, apply them to the other plants. All right, y'all, it's the next day. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there because a video like this, man, can go on and on, dude. This type of topic is just infinite. I mean, the soil, you know what I'm saying? How could you end? It's just, anyway, for me, this technique, like many techniques, is just one like nugget, dude. You know what I mean? 2 mini nuggets to make it overall for my garden. You know what I mean? I do my best to just add a bunch of just different techniques into my garden. And then so this video, my main thing was just to show you guys how to make it and how to apply it. In fact, the other way I've applied it is the very beds that I was taking most of those weeds from. I've gone back now and put a bunch more of the anaerobic compost tea in these beds. One thing that you definitely want to do, keep your beds moist enough to keep the habitat for those bacteria comfortable, right? That's why I have my shade cloth over these things, as well as I am still giving these beds water. Also going to later on a new coat of microgreen compost back on top of this, and then go ahead and cover it back up, and then throw our bush beans on this bed. So these things are all different steps to actually help me bind my compost with more organic matter, which it needs, as well as effectively give myself more nutrients inside of my beds, which, you know, as well as the means to break down said nutrients. That's what's going on here. It's all about a system, you know, not just one thing. I will also put aerobic compost in this as well. Nature just keeps giving, you know. Don't get hung up on one way, you know what I'm saying? Permaculture, biodynamic, it's all under this whole thing, man. I'll talk to y'all soon.